Right. Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. August 20th, 2024. Roll call, please.
Counselor Bishai. Here. Counselor Stancliffe.
Here.
Counselor Martin.
Here.
Counselor Rigney.
Here.
Counselor Berggren.
Here.
Counselor Wilson. Not present.
Please stand.
Mayor Policy.
Pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, agenda adjustments. First on the list.
Nothing.
Announcements, correspondence, awards, or proclamations. None. Public input. Do we have anybody on the list?
No, sir.
Wow. Okay. Action items. Approved minutes, public hearing, the CDBG grant. Lily?
Okay, so we have, we just had a 5 o'clock hearing for the public hearing requirement for applying for the 2024 Community Development Block Grant application. The minutes are in your revised packets that I've just passed out, and I will make sure to email to our media so they have the revised one. Our minutes are on your screen. And so, and in your packet. So if you want to take a moment to read those, make sure they are accurate. And then we will accept a motion to approve the minutes.
Counselors, do you need a moment to read them? Okay, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Motion to approve the minutes of the public hearing for 8/20/24.
Any discussions? Okay, I have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Wait, did you have something, sir?
Well, there's an is missing from B, where I asked what the mobilization.
Oh, okay, I will fix that. So if you want to amend corrected minutes, approve the corrected minutes, I'll fix that.
We can excuse me, move to correct the amended minutes of the public hearing.
Okay.
All right, any other adjustments? All right,
Roll call.
Counselor Bishai.
Yes.
Counselor Stancliffe.
Yes.
Counselor Martin.
Yeah.
Counselor Rigney.
Yes.
Counselor Berggren.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, on B, the support bounce house committee policy. Lily?
we had a situation come up that, so this is a policy that went before our Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, and they approved forwarding to the council. What we said before was currently we don't have a bounce house policy, and our attorney at the time recommended we ban bounce houses. A lot of cities are going that route, but he said, if you choose not to ban, recommended that we adopt this policy to have in place if we were to allow bounce houses in the park. And so this is the policy. It is 2 pages long if you'd like me to read the whole thing. Otherwise, you have it in front of you and it was emailed out ahead of time. So I guess I'm here to ask, what direction would council like us to go? Well, I'll just highlight a couple things, mainly that they can't put stakes in the ground. They have to bring their own power source. No water or other items can be used with it. They have to have an extra $1 million liability that names the city of Gold Hill to cover liability for us. It has to be freestanded and weighted, but it can't be tied. They can't have anything ground, and they have to return the ground to how it was before they found it and fill out a facility reservation form. Has to be in compliance with our driving, stuff. They can't be driving on the grass and all that kind of stuff. Let's see, and then an application is attached to it. When they're setting up, it has to be gone at the end of the day or at the end of the event. And so if council wants to have a policy, if they want to allow bounce houses, I recommend this policy, but it's council's decisions. If you do not want to allow bounce houses in the parks, council should make that decision as well.
How many applications have we had to have bounce houses in the park?
So far, one,
No applications, just an inquiry.
we've had an inquiry and advertisement potentially that there could be there, but it hasn't, it's not very common. And we actually borrowed this policy, made a couple amendments after our Parks Advisory this came from Central Point's Parks. And I've now been told that Central Point is going away from allowing them. It destroys the grass underneath. It's other issues that are there. So they this was the policy Central Point had adopted with some minor edits that came through our Parks Advisory Committee. But they are moving towards banning them outright. So as far as the policy, it's a council decision. So the basic three options that I would say is you can choose to allow them and adopt the policy. You can choose to ban them, or you can choose to just move forward without a policy. Yes,
Is that a standard one-way liability on that for the public?
I think so. I mean, you basically would have to get a special event policy.
That's, something like that.
Yeah, this language was exactly what Central Point had. Mhm. With the insurance, yeah. Counselor Stancliff, did you have a question?
I did. What does our lawyer say about it?
The lawyer had said it's okay if you're gonna have the policy, but his recommendation was to not allow them. But if you were gonna allow them, that this policy would be okay to adopt.
What did Parks and Rec Committee say about it?
Just some clarification in language, but they actually, they said to move the policy forward for you guys.
They recommend it a while.
I brought it to them and asked if they're okay with it going to you guys. And honestly, I don't recall that we actually addressed if it should be banned or not. I just asked, should I take the policy to you guys? I'm trying to remember. I apologize, I'm blanking because it wasn't the last Parks meeting, it was the one before. And I just had to get the edits in that they had recommended, but they were okay with this policy going to you guys. That's how is the gist of how I remember it.
Okay, thank you.
So I have a question. And so we're not going to supply the power, which means they're going to bring a generator, which means they're going to supply their own fuel for that generator. Anytime you have fuel in a public park, you got to have a fuel pan and all those requirements. So, and I don't see any of that here on this policy where it's got to be more in depth on what they're allowed. Because you just can't have fuel in the park. That's a big no-no, especially that close to the river.
Fire extinguisher as well.
You gotta have everything. Fire permits, fire extinguishers, water's gotta be plumbed, the line's gotta be plumbed,
Why water?
the generator could blow up. You're going into a whole detailed thing where it is a big liability. That's why they say it's $1 million liability.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big deal.
Well, like I said, it's council's decision. If you want to allow bounce houses, the recommendation was to have a policy. So.
So at this point, we could either have a motion to ban bounce houses altogether,
Mhm.
or we could have a motion to say, if you want to have a bounce house, you have to comply with this policy, or we could just go on like we have been. No policy, but we don't want to do that.
Would you recommend going back to the Parks Committee to sit there and revise a little bit more?
I can take it back to the attorney and find out. I think that would
I would
be,
like to table, I recommend
That's
tabling
what I was
this.
thinking. That's what-
Because where I was going with this is now we have the bounce houses. But we have food trucks and stuff that go to the park and they're all supplied by propane, oil and fuel. And they're parked out there doing this, so that's gonna come up. So we need to look at this in depth.
So if you are willing, I mean, if you're making a formal motion to table, then that stops conversation and we can't go any further. So if I want to verify, is that what you're doing, or can we continue having a?
I'm recommending, but I'm not.
That we wait for a decision?
Yes,
So the only thing I would say is it would be appropriate for you to decide that in the meantime, if there's not a policy in place, do you allow them until there's a policy in place, or do you say none until a policy is in place?
And we have someone who's applying for one right now.
They have not officially applied. They put an inquiry if it would be allowed. And I said I was going to bring a policy but it took time to get to parks and get it back here.
I don't think it should be allowed unless we at least have a policy.
And what events it for, is it for, is it just a
Happy
private party or
Tails.
is it?
Happy Tails,
Happy Tails.
Dawn thing in September.
Oh, yeah. Well, we,
I make a motion to table.
We respond to the application.
There's not an application in place. It hasn't officially been requested. However,
oh,
I would ask if you, yeah,
We-
okay.
Yeah.
I would ask for council's direction on if we're not ready for the policy, what you would like us to do without a policy in place.
I think without a policy in place, we should not allow bounce houses.
Can we make a motion to that so that it officially comes from council? That for now, until we can bring a policy back, and I will send this policy back to the lawyer to get feedback on some of those questions that have been brought up, and I can bring it to the next meeting, which is still before the event. So it would give time for something to happen if need be. Is that fair? Okay, so as far as direction today,
So I would propose a motion, saying we don't have bounce houses until and unless we pass a bounce house policy. Does that work?
I second it.
okay, we have a motion and a second.
I have a second, I'll second.
Counselor Stancliff did, yeah.
Roll call, please.
Counselor Bishai,
Yes.
Counselor Martin.
Yeah.
Counselor Rigney,
yes,
Counselor Bergeron, Counselor Stancliff.
Yeah,
Thank you. Motion carries.
good.
Okay, so now we're gonna be looking at action item C, which is resolution 24-R-21. Declaring council seat vacant.
I will read the resolution. So resolution number 24-R-21, a resolution declaring a council seat vacant. Whereas the City of Gold Hill Charter of 1968, Chapter 7, Vacancies in Office, Section 32 states that an office shall be deemed vacant upon an absence from meetings of the council for 60 days without like consent, and upon a declaration by the council of the vacancy. Whereas Counselor Janet Wilson last attended a council meeting on June 4th, 2024. Whereas Counselor Janet Wilson has been absent from meetings of the council for over 60 days without like consent. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Gold Hill as follows. 1, the council seat held by Counselor Janet Wilson is hereby declared vacant due to her absence from meetings of the council for over 60 days without like consent. 2, the vacancy shall be posted as vacant and attempted to be filled as soon as possible. 3, this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its adoption.
Okay, council, at this time, I'll entertain a motion on this resolution.
I'll make the motion that we approve it as written,
Adopt the resolution.
adopt the resolution as written.
Second.
Questions?
We reached out to her or gave those each month.
Yeah, yes,
did we hear from her at all?
no,
Any other questions? I have a motion and I have a second. Roll call.
Counselor Bishai,
Yes.
Counselor Stancliff,
Yes,
Counselor Martin.
Yeah.
Counselor Rigney.
No.
Counselor Bergeron,
Yes.
motion carries.
Reports from councilors. None? City manager reports.
As you can see, our construction of our remodel in City Hall is coming along. I want to thank some volunteers, Tam Wilkinson, Susie Schoonover, and Joel Clark. They have been working in here helping with flooring and painting and putting furniture together. And looking forward to having a new front reception area or front desk area to meet our public's needs. In addition, we have concluded interviews for the open city clerk position. And we have made a tentative job offer that has been approved. And so we go into negotiations of what that will be. And so hopefully soon we will have a new city clerk on board. Also, just to give an update, I am applying for a small city allotment grant. I mentioned that in the last month, but we're still in process of that. We'll try to get the CDBG grant turned in now that we've adopted the minutes today. We're still waiting to hear back from the 2 grants we've just applied for. We asked for a we asked for a transportation grant for the local service resource network, which is like a mini transportation plan for our city. We haven't heard on that one yet. And we're waiting still to hear on the community wildfire risk reduction grant that we applied for. We're going to continue to look for some grant opportunities. We've had some volunteers express interest in helping us apply for more grants. As we saw with the CDBG one from the hearing, that the money goes quickly and it's not enough to do everything. So we're going to continue to pursue. Some of the highest priority grants I'm going to be looking at is for replacing the roof at the water treatment plant. I'd like to replace it with a metal roof so that we can be fire resilient, but also the roof is in dire need of replacing. And then we're going to continue to potentially look at a grant to replace the restroom at the boat ramp to make it fire resistant and ADA. So we're going to be looking for grant dollars to do those two. I'm also, right after we get the CDBG one, we're going to be pursuing one for the meters to get the meters up to grade and such like that. We are required by the state to have a lead lines inventory done by October. It turns out the program that we use for our mapping is called Diamond Maps. They've built in the requirements of the state. And I'm working with both our water contractor, Southern Oregon Water Tech, and Rogue Valley Council of Government to get that system report in time, but it turns out it'll be cheaper for us to do it through Diamond Maps, which is exciting to save money. So there's a pieces that we need in there, and Fred, when he's doing his next meter reading, is going to be going property by property, adding the information into Diamond Maps so that we can get the report to the state to be in compliance with their requirements. I will tell you that I am looking at contracting with Rogue Valley Council of Governments to do a stormwater and ditch clean out. We're gonna, they've asked that we do cameraing the lines first to avoid any damage to the pipes, so we know what we're doing first. It's been several years since our stormwater system was cleaned out appropriately, and it's full of mud. And as we saw on Saturday with the downpour and the rain, water didn't go down the ditches and the storm pipes. It went everywhere. And so the goal is to get them cleaned out, vacuumed out, and they can do the jet power through the pipes, which pulls back the mud, and then they vacuum that out and get those lines clear. At the same time, doing an inventory, the tentative cost is $45,000. This is a big cost. And so the problem is we have not maintained it in so many years that it costs more now. And if we get it established with cleaned out, then we can keep up with the maintenance at a cheaper cost moving forward. This is part of why we brought the green bins. This is part of why we're just keep moving down, making everything better. So I wanted you to be aware of that. Another big report. Some of you may have seen on Facebook that we lost our phones and computers in this power outage on Saturday. With the surge of the power going out, coming on, going out, coming on, going out, coming on, it fried our system. We have the battery backup surge protector. But the switch somehow in that process, it blew out our switch. It would power up, but it wouldn't allow anything to go forward. So it took till late afternoon on Monday before we were restored and had to rebuild all our connections. No data was lost. It just, we physically had to replace parts. And so that was an expensive storm for us. We had IT techs here most of the day on Monday. I spent a lot of Saturday trying to see what I could do and restarting and doing stuff. And I realized it was beyond my capacity, put the service tickets in, and sure enough, we actually had to have parts replaced. So anyhow, that is the update that I have for you at this time.
Question. On the web, you said Fred's gonna go around and look at the water meters and look at those?
Fred is not doing the lead inventory. Fred is making sure the data of the meters and service addresses is in Diamond Maps appropriately. So we have it in different locations. So like our finance software has the account number, the service address, and the meter number, but Diamond Maps doesn't have it. So we have to correlate those so that when we do the inventory, it's just the next step. It should be in there already. Diamond Maps is actually a really good mapping system. It's a GIS system. It's just not Esri, which some of the other cities and counties use. So I was trying to evaluate, do we have to ask a Esri system to be built on our behalf like Jackson County uses, like Rogue River uses? And I learned that Diamond Maps has the lead inventory project in it already, a map in it already. And RVCOG's GIS specialist researched and found and recommended that we stick with Diamond Maps instead of rebuilding a system, and it'll be cheaper for us in the end to do it that way.
Do we know if any of our water testing has come back or had in the water?
I couldn't answer that at this time.
Is that would be on reports online, wouldn't it?
I don't know that we have an inventory of the lines that have that yet. This is part of the state asking cities to start documenting this. So we're kind of at the beginning of the process. I can find out more about what our status is from Southern Oregon Water Tech. They would have the information. That is all I have at this time.
Anything for the good of the order? We do have, what is it, September, an LLC, which is a League of Oregon Cities convention going on in Bend. I know the council know, I just approved Lily to go. And I know that, Councilor Stanwood put in and got a grant. Just take time that she got it, so just keep that in mind. There's other ones. What was that one that you and I went to at the time of the year?
The spring conference.
The spring conference.
Yeah.
So there's a time period where you can put in if you can't afford it for the grants, and both Lily and I put into the grants and got them.
It's a really simple application.
Yeah, and but it's really worth it too. That's where you learn a lot of what's going on throughout Oregon. So anyway, that's
I even
all
know of a city that requires all city councilors to go. And for several years, they go as a whole and they see it as a learning opportunity and educational experience. They have subcategories for mayors and councilors and managers. A good networking opportunity to see other things as well. And I would encourage attendance. It'd be nice to build that opportunity for.
the workshops alone are so beneficial for you as even to pursue city government and stuff, and the networking also is so valuable. Anyway,
I didn't apply for the scholarship or grant because I wanted somebody else to go this fall. But if none of you are,
I wanted to know.
you won't be able to.
I wouldn't have been able to.
Okay,
you get a little of the spring.
are you interested in going?
Yeah.
Okay, so could somebody?
Too late.
So
Is
you
it
can.
too late to apply for
It's not,
scholarship?
it's too late to apply for scholarship. So at this point, it would be if the city is paying for it or if an individual would want to pay for it. So, um, it's too late to apply for a scholarship. It's not too late to apply to go.
So if you wanna go, get with Lily.
Well, does the city want to approve paying for a counselor to go?
I don't even know if we have the money for that.
So, I think that's the only way
I-
we do it.
I think that it can be covered. We just have to be intentional, about how many and how often.
Okay, so recommendations for me would be get with Lily. And,
I would say if Rick wants to go, let's pay for it.
yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
If you want to go.
Yeah.
It's definitely-
It's a good experience, yeah, okay. So I, do we need a motion or anything, and
No,
No, I would, I mean, if anyone objects, I'd say voice it and, okay.
okay, so anything else for the good of the order? This meeting is adjourned.